Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to talk about the silent wave method, which is one of the teaching language methods that are still used by professors in this world. But I'm going to talk specifically in the techniques that this method has. But before I start with techniques, I'm going to say something about this method. The silent wave is the name of a method of language teaching devised by Caleb Gategno, who is the creator of this method. This method is based on the premise that the teacher should be silent as much as possible in the classroom, but the learner should be encouraged to produce as much language as possible. Here we have a picture of the creator of this method. Now we have the techniques that I'm going to explain in the next minutes. The first technique is the sound color chart. The chart contains blocks of colors, each one representing a sound in the target language. In this case, we have two charts. One could be the chart that are using in the classroom, and the other chart represents the sounds in the target language. In this case, is the English language. The upper part of the chart has the vowel sound, and the other parts have the consonant sound. As we see in the picture, this allows the student to focus on the language because the teacher just points to the color, and the student must recognize the sound of that color, that the sound that is assigned to that color. The teacher points to another color, and the student must say the sound in that way. This allows that the student focuses on the language, not in the teacher, because they are paying attention to the sound itself, in order that the teacher is saying. Because the teacher, when he's explaining that, or is pointing at the colors, is not saying anything. It's only pointing, and the students are saying what the teacher is pointing in the chart. The next technique is the teacher silent. The teacher gives just as much help as is necessary and then is silent. This means that the teacher is not saying anything during the class. It's only giving instruction by gesture, or by pointing at some part of the class, or by pointing to the student to say something, to answer that question. But the teacher is not saying anything during the whole class. He's only listening and in silent. This is because the teachers want the students to be more creative in that way. That represents that they must learn by themselves. So I mean, if they have any question or they have any doubt, the teacher points to one student. That student must say to respond that question. Or if the one student commits one error, the student points to another student in order to say the right answer, and that so on by the whole student. But if the answer is not provided by the right answer is not provided by the student, in that moment the teacher must speak, but only by saying the right answer, and that is silent. The teacher is trying to avoid to speak as much as possible, because the teacher wants that the student focuses on the languages and not in him or her. Another technique is peer correction. The students are encouraged to help another student when he or she is experiencing difficulty. This technique is about the self-correction, or correction among the student, not by the teacher. If one student is mispronouncing something or answering one question in a bad way, the students point to another student, and he orders that student to say the correct answer, in order to show that the mistake that the other student is taken. I mean, we see in the picture, there are examples that the one student said "we sin" when it is correct, because it is past Could be a past participle form, the verb see, and then another student corrects him in the with the correct form, which would be we saw. In that way, the teacher is not saying something, and then that way the students are developing an inner criteria about the languages. So I think that the peer correction is one essential part of this method because it's encouraged to the students to work in a team, to work at a singular class. The next one are the roles. Roles can be used to provide visible action or situation for any language instructor, to introduce it, or to enable students to practice using it. This is one way to teaching by not saying anything. The teacher only put one meaning to a one word could be or create sentences by putting in a line all the rods but in different colors. Let me explain. Let me that the subject of the sentence could be the green one. The verb or the helping verb could be the red one. The object could be the orange one. So it's one way that the teacher is not saying something, is only just putting in a line the rows in different colors. But the students are saying that are repeating that the student is showing by the rods in order to practice the language. And this could be very helpful because there are roots, and so the students could move the root into to change it that the meaning could change the verb and the subject and make it by a question, or it could add another word, could be the black one into the sentence, and it could be a negative. So the teacher only needs to move the roads, and the student recognize that they must say it in the new way that the teacher is performing at the moment. The next one is the self-correction gesture. Teacher uses his or her hand to get basic instruction or to correct mistake in pronunciation by using his or her finger. As we see in the picture, as we already know in this method, the teacher tries to avoid speaking as much as possible. So he's using his hand in this moment. There are an example. The sentence, take a green road. So when the students are saying this sentence, and one student is pronouncing one word, an example could be they are saying take a green road. So the student needs to move the finger that represents the word take and points to another student in order to say it in the right way. So the teacher sign that the word that I'm pronouncing is the word take. So in that way, the teacher doesn't need to say something but to express the mistake in the sentence. Another way that could be the student by saying excellent or making gesture. Another thing that the gesture when the students are pronouncing new sounds as consonant sound or sound that are not in the native language. So the student needs to move his mouth in order to show how to pronounce how the gesture of that the pronunciation makes in the mouth. This is really really helpful because the teacher is not saying anything. He's only moving his mouth, and the student needs to reply that or copy that movement in his mouth in order to pronounce it as closer as possible to the right pronunciation. The word chart is pretty similar or is related to the sound chart, but this chart contains functional vocabulary in the target language. As we already see in the sound chart, there are one color assigned for each phonemes or each sound in the target language. This is really helpful because in this chart, the teacher is color the word in different way in order to see that the student, if they have a pronunciation of the letter A or the other phoneme, the teacher writes that word in that color write that letter in that color into the word. So when the student tries to read that new word, they are remembering the phoneme that this color mean. So I think this really helpful because it helps the student to improve their pronunciation, because in this way the teacher is not allowed to, it's not necessary to speak. So they're putting together all the phonemes, because some words have different colors. They are putting together all the phonemes and then try to pronounce it in the right way. And the student and the teacher listen carefully in order to hear the right pronunciation. The focus is in the student. Another student needs to copy the pronunciation of one of his classmates. The funnel chart. Color code columns, one color for each sound. As we saw in this method, Israeli use are very helpful. The colors. This helps the student to improve their spelling by saying one phoneme. So they already know the sound that they learn in the language. So the teacher points to one sound, and then the teacher could write the different spelling that this sound has in the target language. So I think this is really very important, because the spelling and there are a problem when listening skill, because the student are not familiar with the spelling by listening, because the some method of teaching languages are not focused on listening at the same time and writing. So I think that this technique is really, really important. The last technique is the structure feedback. The students are invited to make observation about the day's lesson and what they have learned. This is almost always at the end of the classes. So the teacher answer in the native language if the student have any doubt, any suggestion about the class, in order to change the way they are learning. This is really helpful, because in this way the students manage or control the class. This is like the students are making some suggestion. The teacher is listening carefully, paying attention to the necessity that the student has. The student have, and then the teacher tries to find a good solution for that needs, in order to be the classes more comfortable for the student, because the student in this method are in charge of the way they are learning. So I think the structure feedback is really, really important. It could be implemented in another method, because the student needs the necessity of the students are really, really important as a teacher. If we want to be a teacher, need to pay attention of the student needs. So thanks for watching this video, and I see you in the next time.